you hear me, Josh?
Oh yeah. How you doing?
Oh, wonderful. I'm good, thank you. Welcome everyone to round four. We're joined here by Josh Ophel, 2023 National Highlander champion. It's an absolute honor to have you in the booth with us.
Oh, what a privilege to spend the time with you, Gus.
We have on the left-hand side Isaac playing Mono Red and Jack playing Jund Goblins. And we have a very early judge call. I think we're just figuring out how many cards that we've drawn. Mono Red, significantly better if you can start the game with 8 cards, but unfortunately that will not be made available to Isaac.
Yeah, 7-point Highlander.
Yeah, that's it. Where are you now, Josh? I noticed that you're not on the battlefield taking it out. Training, perhaps, in the hyperbolic chamber?
Yes, I'm running the Dragon Road here in Sydney. I'm just zooming in because I want to keep an eye on the format. The big tournament coming up in Melbourne, I'm keen to travel down and play that. So, yes, not playing this weekend, unfortunately, but I'm still watching from Sydney.
Excellent, excellent, and what a game that we do have to watch. I think a couple of points changes have happened since you made that championship debut.
Quite a few, yes.
Lots of cards going up points. So it will be interesting to see what the meta looks like after these points changes. But we have seen the rise of Goblins lately. Is that your understanding as well?
Oh yeah, Goblins has been a really good deck for a little while now, and it's got some really good printings over the last few years. It's a deck that leverages Mana Crypt, which is one of the more impactful cards on the points list, but it also has access to some new printings like Broadside Bombardiers, and some of the lists are running Bowmasters, but I think now the point spread is often on Ancient Tomb, Mana Crypt, and then one extra point. I'm not sure exactly where they put it. Do you know?
Well, Goblin Recruiter, of course, is now.
Oh, yes.
What can you do if not play your Goblin Recruiter?
Yes, Recruiter is a massive card in this matchup, and also for the Goblin strategy. A lot of their cards are angled towards finding and resolving a Recruiter, and then stacking the deck to either present a big barrage of damage or even combo off.
Yeah, it's very interesting with the Goblins. Like, it's an aggro deck, it's a control deck, it's a combo deck. Like, what doesn't this deck do, you know?
Well, it's playing a Ragavan, effectively. It's got a Goblin Lackey on turn 1, facing down Kumano faces Kazakhstan? I'm not sure how to say that one.
Pretty close. I would never try to say it either. So you know, the burn spell quickly getting rid of that lackey, and here comes a Warren Instigator. That's kind of fun. A modern legal Goblin Lackey, but God, the double strike is nice. Of course, it's a 2 mana 1/1 with double strike, and then it has the Goblin Lackey text, if I'm not mistaken. But God, there's such a huge difference between a 1 mana and 2 mana Goblin that does this.
Interesting play here, holding back the two creatures, respecting that Instigator can first strike, put in a Goblin, double strike, put in another Goblin. Really dangerous card, and you kind of have to respect it. Isaac's pivoting away from the typical red deck wins plan of turning creatures sideways really early in this game. It's really great to see.
Yeah, there's lots of it's so funny. Mono Red is usually like a really nice pickup for newer players because of the because it's kind of pretty straightforward, you know, but that's not always the case. Like, it can be a really complex deck about when you're attacking, when you're aggressor, when you're on the back foot, and yeah, he's getting the benefit from it now by getting rid of that Warren Instigator, the second copy of Lackey. But yeah, it's very, very tough to decide when you want to get in there and when you want to hold back.
Yeah, and he's found one of the key cards for his points list. He's got Urza Saga in play, possibly looking to build a bit of a robot army. But Goblins, you know, on the offensive here, coming in with a whole swarm.
Oh, that's kind of huge. We have the haste Goblin War Chief, I believe, giving a little bit of a buff and making everything have haste and then also the Rebel Master as well. So
Yeah.
Isaac having to make some really hard choices about what he wants to do with these goblins that are left over.
Yeah, so he's able to trade off for the Lord, which I think is a really good choice. Like, it's a really scary card because it gives all his goblins haste. So can't really leave it in play for long, but it was hard because because of the +1/+1, he couldn't trade off the Realm Master, and Realm Master represents a pretty quick clock here.
Yeah, absolutely. Left unattended, I think kills in 3 turns or 4 turns. Never happens like that, but it definitely gums up the board for as long as it's not doing that, you know?
I wouldn't say it never happens. I would say maybe it doesn't always happen, but it's just one of those cards you just have to respect because it really just can quickly close games. There's been a lot of other really good 3s printed lately, but it's still a card that, especially in Goblins, just has so much text. And so I think it's War Leader or Ring Leader. It looks at the top 4 and grabs any Goblins. It looks like he bricked on that, but it is a 2/2 haste in Goblins. So still able to get in here, trigger the Rebel Master, present quite a lot of damage. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then +4/+0 on the 2/2. So that's 6, it's 10 damage coming in.
You rarely see a Ring Leader whiff in a Goblins.
Yeah, that's true.
It's supposed to happen, but like, I don't think he cares. I think a 4-mana 2/2 is exactly what he needs, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's actually quite sneaky good in this matchup because the red deck wins player is kind of incentivized to. I mean, it's hard. You sort of want to keep the board tidy, and so you kind of want to go into this weird control position. And so a 2/2 with haste that draws potentially 2 cards plus is just really good in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing Isaac take full advantage of the Urza's Saga, a very common play pattern. Make a token, untap, make a token, and then you get a little freebie. This one's going to be the Bomat Courier. We were mentioning this in a previous round. Bomat, really nice to get off Urza's Saga, and this is no exception. Still staying back on blocks though, really respectfully, respecting the Goblins, and that's really nice.
Oh yeah, you've got to respect Goblins at this stage, and yep, clap. There's this, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's like it lets you sack your Goblins to drain. So coming down, making 2 Goblins, but then also presenting essentially 6 damage without even getting into combat. So game 1 in the books. Mono red, even with a defensive Goblin guide, still not enough to hold back Goblins. Coming in, closing the game, possibly on turn 5 or 6 there, so pretty quick.
That was really quick, yeah. Modern Horizons Goblin. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of it as well, but that's how it goes sometimes.
It's a really good one, the new printing, because it combos off, lets you essentially all your creatures on the board are 1 point, and then I don't know if it also gains life. I'll have to double check the text on that one. Sling Gang Lieutenant. Yeah.
Nice one. Absolutely right. Yes, Sling Gang Lieutenant. Welcome Owen as well. Overrated player. So we've got some good Canberra heads in the chat for this wondrous day. But yeah, Sling Gang Lieutenant, a very common finisher for the conspicuous Snoop line. If you can manage to get Kiki on top and make infinite conspicuous Snoops and turn them all into Sling Gang. Just for that that drain and gain. Really nice addition to that Goblin deck.
Yeah, very good. Like the life buffer lets you play this combat game against a lot of the other mid-range decks where they can't ever really swing you back because you've got Chump Blocker that drains them, gains you a bit of life. So it's just a really good mid-range card that also just opens a window to comboing off if your board is big enough and their life is low enough. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's no joke. Can really take the game away. Cat in the chat. Are there any interstaters playing? And I can tell you that there was a car full of Sydney Siders that came up, and also some Wollongong gangers came in overnight and stayed the night. So we are still seeing a couple of interstaters. No Melbourneites as far as I can see. But not enough to deter the Wollongongers and the Sydney Siders from coming down and staking their claim in this great land.
Yeah, the Gong Gang coming in, looking to try and steal the trophy from Canberra. I like that.
Unreal. Unreal. The disrespect, you know?
Oh, such good communities in Sydney and Wollongong, and Canberra is such a great opportunity for everyone to come together and scope the format out before there's an update.
Yeah, just around the corner as well. I think Outlaws of Thunder Junction will be our next set that is released, and then once that's released, we'll get another points update. And it'll be really interesting because the Recruiter, I was like really hesitant on the on my feelings about the Recruiter pointing, because it was just like Goblins is good once, and then it's like, all right, point it. But people are still playing it. It's still a very popular deck, even paying one point for Recruiter. I think they don't feel bad about that at all.
Yeah, I think pointing Recruiter in retrospect looks kind of fair. Like the deck's still very relevant, still very good. The format's very diverse, very healthy. And Recruiter's a massive part of why Goblins is good. So yeah, putting a point there feels good. Goblin Guy coming in on turn 1.
Yeah.
But looks like no follow-up play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the thought process is. We can get a little peek at their hands, of course. Isaac very
Yeah, he's
very
keeping it hidden from us.
moving his hands away. Someone's got to keep it hidden, you know. I'm gonna go bully him in a second, but
it's chill. I think this game will be pretty quick, and his cards will be in play soon. So is that a Mog Fanatic? So lets it sack to deal 1 damage. So X1's kind of held back here. Ooh, Squee coming in, making a 1/1, presenting 6 damage.
Yeah, that's a big one. Squee,
Goblin Guard trigger.
Squee. Can't call it Squee anymore. Yeah, we're missing the Goblin Guard trigger by the looks of it. Maybe we're moving fast enough through. It's all good. Okay, we will endeavor. We'll move on. Unless there's some secret spicy stuff happening here, it looks to be a Blood Crypt end of turn.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, missed Goblin trigger.
Oh, that's fine.
Ancient
Yeah, I mean, the play here, I think, is an important part of this matchup, like of every matchup. But I think Mono Red is one of those decks that you pick because you have a really good game 1 and a good game on the play. Red Cap, though, coming down off the Ancient Tomb, looking to stabilize. But 10 life
could do.
burns. Like you're stable, but you know, burn can kind of get you at 8.
Oh yeah. This is interesting as well. 1 damage not going to be enough because it has the. It's the other way around? No, yeah. Okay, we're good. This is Persist, of course. So making it a 1/1 when it comes back after the death from the Bone Crusher Giant.
Yep.
Still able to block. Still get a little bit of additional benefit, but yeah, let's see a Stalactite Stalker on top. We saw actually quite a couple, I think 2 or 3 pretty good goblins come out of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Oh yeah.
The Toiva and this Chasm Skulker as well.
Yeah, the 2-drop with Death Touch, and then this 1-drop that grows every time a thing hits the bin.
Yeah. Every time a 1 or 2-drop goblin gets printed, neurons start activating. And
yeah.
It's as good as, and we've had no shortage of good goblins in the last year or 2.
Oh yeah, there's quite a bit of depth there, and there's a lot of impressions of other good cards. Like they've got the Chirurgeon, which is a really powerful part of this deck. Does like a Spellscar impression. Which is obviously kind of old technology, but it's just really powerful when you have all these new creatures to surround it with. It protects the combo.
Big time. It's so funny how these things work out. Goblins may be very similar in the way that they're structured to humans, where just every set there's like a new goblin, and then like the pool for tribal decks, God, it depends on the tribe. Like warriors, if you're like really spicy, can be fine, but like humans, pretty viable. Goblins is kind of the only typal that has made as big of a splash in Highlander because of its flexibility in that way. But like, just like randomly tack Goblin onto the back of your creature types, and Goblin players rejoice everywhere.
Yeah, I think the Highlander is unique in the sense that you don't get the critical mass of lords, but tribal does show up every once in a while. Oh, Fiery Confluence looking like it clapped that game, went face. Is that correct? That was very quick.
Yeah, it was. Jack being, that's so funny. I love Fiery Confluence. This is like an old Highlander staple, dealing 1 damage. You choose 3, right? So it's kind of like Mystic Confluence.
Yes.
You can deal 2 damage to each opponent, 1 damage to each creature, or destroy target artifact. And God, that's flexible. And I've seen so many just 6 damage to the face. Nothing better.
Yeah, it's a really good rate for 4 mana, 6 damage to the face. It's one of those reasons when you're facing mono red, you have to be mindful. Like price of progress puts you at risk. Fiery Confluence, especially post board. I think a lot of them are running at main deck because it's just a good rate, but especially post board, especially if you're running artifacts and stuff, it just covers a lot of bases. So thinking about what does your red opponent have in hand, and do I have to block because is putting them in range going to not give me this opportunity to stay in this game? So Isaac found a way there, and we're going to game 3.
Oh yeah, very nice. I like I like creature decks that have access to a board wipe, because it's like you never play Damnation in your mono red deck if you were splashing.
No.
But like this is it's flexible, as you said. It's like it can do the thing if you're really behind and you do need a board wipe, but hey, destroy 3 artifacts against the artifact deck, deal 6 damage. Like all these are really relevant options.
Oh, 100%. And like post board, a lot of the key cards are artifacts, like Batterskull. Sometimes people play the Claw, which is like every time you play a red spell, gain a life. So a lot of the things you care about as a red player post board are artifacts. So the fact that it can pick up that artifact, but also go face for a little bit, just chips away at your overall plan, which is a density of burn spells to close the game.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some weird stuff happening in the mines and sideboards of mono red players. We have a mono red player in Canberra, and it's like you really care about 5 toughness creatures and you really care about artifacts, and it's like you can't be like a little bit against control, a little bit here, a little bit there. It's like no, you have to play the like devoid shock so that you can kill those protection red creatures. Like you have to play all these like weird and wonderful cards just to like stop those life gain or sideboard cards coming in.
And I think mono red's a great place to start learning that about sideboarding, identifying what you actually care about post board, not like what is good generally against your opponent, but what do you care about doing well against your opponent? And mono red obviously makes that really clear point. Like I don't want my opponent to gain life. I don't want them to resolve things which make all of my spells slightly worse. So those are the things I've got to deal with post board, or hopefully dodge. Like the other thing is you can't afford to side out too much of your main strategy, because then you won't reach 20. You'll burn them for 16, and then they'll do what they're going to do. So looks like both players mulliganed. I don't know who that favors. I think it's close either way.
They're both kind of a critical mass deck. It looked like Jack is going to start on a 5e. Unless, I think that's a 5-card hand. That's like...
That's it, fetch and Warren Instigator.
Yeah. I mean, the Warren Instigator doesn't have a friend to come with it, so Jack might sandbag the Warren Instigator. It looks like he's going to just play it out. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think if Isaac had a bit of a card advantage, he might leverage and become a bit of a control player in the matchup, which I think makes sense. If your opponent's mulliganed, just clear their board, and hopefully one threat can close this game. So choosing not to use the Wasteland to blow up land, but choosing to immediately deal with the Instigator.
Yeah, it's just so scary. The fear of the unknown gets you. You know, it's like, there's nothing in Jack's hand that Isaac cares about. Nothing that the Warren Instigator can put in. But actually, you know what? Even if it was 2, I think there's actually a good goblin in there besides the Skulker, but or Stalker, I should say.
Ooh,
but
Figure of Destiny coming down.
Oh yeah, okay. I see you. 1 mana 1/1. Can upgrade multiple times. We'll see if it ever gets there, but Excuse me.
kind of awkward with the Wasteland draw because Figure of Destiny wants lots of colored sources to really get to its like end game.
Yeah.
And choosing not to Wasteland means to me that he has spells that he needs to play that cost 3.
Yeah, very awkward for sure. I mean, it was okay when the Pirate Spellbomb came down because we did have, again, what I was saying before about devoid burn spells. Pirate Spellbomb definitely gets rid of the Sanctifier and Vec and Core Firewalker. But I think he might have just sided it in even if he wasn't scared of those cards because the more creature removal, the better.
Yeah. Skewer coming there to finish off the Stalactite Stalker. But we have a War Boss.
The opportunity to get through.
Lying in.
Oh yeah. Metallic Mimic on our on the bottom of the screen. 2 mana, 2/1. Choose a creature type. Creatures that come into the battlefield of that type get +1/+1. Cheaper than Grumgully, which kind of does the same thing, but only for non-humans. But 3 mana, probably less inclined to play it. Bang.
Okay, deciding we're going to race. Revealing the Recruiter off the top.
Whoopsies, here comes the Recruiter. Yeah, that's going to be a pain in Isaac's neck. It might, I don't know, the race, 14 is still a little bit comfy. Super interesting. Jack missed that land drop and he knows that he's drawing that Recruiter. So unless I'm pretty sure that's the only land that he had. So that was a really heads up play by Isaac, knowing that Jack missed that land drop and Recruiter might not ever get cast. We'll see.
Yeah. So here's another Goblin Guard trigger, revealing Kikijiki. So no land off the top there. This is very grim for the Goblins.
Yeah, this could be over. Getting stuck on land's kind of annoying. Wasteland is a nice place to put your points if you're not sure where to put your points, I guess, or if you're playing a monocolored deck, of course. You can afford to play that extra colorless land. And it hurt him at the start, but now he's well and truly on fire. He's going to pump up this Figure of Destiny, and it's close to lethal. It's not quite there, but it's close to lethal.
Yeah, Wasteland, very, very impactful card in a lot of metagames. Because of games like this, where you can really shut the door on someone or keep them off a critical spell.
Yeah. And that's
GG's.
it. Wow, incredible. We saw in game 1, it was like, God, this felt like Jack's match to win. You know, he was slicing, he was dicing, but speaking of Dyson, he got sucked up by Isaac's deck, and that was really impressive.
Yeah, it was quick. To be honest, I think Goblins and Mono Red is probably just a very close matchup. I think Fury and things like that could be really impactful in the matchup. Looks like one player brought in this Ferocidon and Fury and the Spellbomb, you're right. The Ferocidon prevents you from gaining life, and then Fury obviously mops up Goblins' board. Fury is one of the best cards against Goblins. And then I can see Jack has sided out. Oh, actually, I would say he probably brought in this Chain Whirler, Hearse, Fatal Push, and I don't recognize the final card there, unfortunately.
He took out one of the new, that new special printing of just like the profiles of the legendaries.
Oh, okay. I think I saw the Mountain Lord Goblin going back into the deck.
That makes sense. Mountain Lord's Mountain Walk. Good.
I think my bad. I stitched you up. I think I said Mountain Lord first. Yeah, so he's a Mountain Walk Lord.
You're right, but a Lord for Mountains is still pretty good.
Yeah, all mountains gain +1/+1.
Very strong. We're only going to have you on for one match, and I think you said at the start, this might be a quick one. And you're not wrong. That was 22 minutes still left on the clock, so we'll take a quick break. We'll see if anyone can come and maybe do a deck check for us. But I'll let you go, Josh. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure.
For your presence.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, hopefully the rest of the day is as many action-packed games as that. Really appreciate the stream. I'll talk to you soon, guys.
Pleasure. Okay, talk to you then, Josh. Thanks a lot.